children of all ages. Welcome to Robert Sports Show. I'm your host, Robert. Happy New Year, everyone. 2016 is upon us. Week 17 of the NFL season. Final week of the regular season. Playoffs on the horizon. For the most part, playoffs are set in the NFC. We got Carolina and Arizona with first round byes. They're battling for the number one home field advantage. Carolina currently 14-1, Arizona 13-2. Next, we have Green Bay currently leading the NFC North at 10-5. Then we have Washington 8-7, and then Minnesota at 10-5, and Seattle at 9-6. It's really your seeding is all what's going on with the NFC. NFC North is on the line, Minnesota, Green Bay. So the winner of that will host a playoff game, and then the loser of that will end up going to Washington. On the AFC side, the East is set, the North is set, the South is still needed to decide, and then the West will have to be decided. Patriots 12-3, Denver 11-4, Cincinnati 11-4, then either Houston or Indy will win the South, Kansas City, and then the Jets and or Pittsburgh will be the wild card. Some scenarios going on there. So still some things to play for a lot of teams that are in the playoff hunt. We start week 17 in Nfc South. We have this New Orleans Saints 6-9 versus the Atlanta Falcons 8-7. The Falcons are only 1-4 in their division, but that one game was ending the undefeated season of the Carolina Panthers last week. So coming off the high off season for Drew Brees and the Saints. 6-9. These two teams met on October 15th. New Orleans won that 31-21. Here it's in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. So I have the Falcons winning. They're favored by 6. I have them covering. I'm taking under on the 53. Next, we have a huge game in Buffalo. We have the New York Jets at 10-5. Win and you're in for the Jets. You lose, you need help. Pittsburgh has the tiebreaker. Pittsburgh wins, they're in. Versus the Buffalo Bills at 7-8. Both teams are 3-2 in the AFC North East this year. Buffalo has won 4 straight versus the Buffalo Bills, versus the Jets. Bills have won 4 straight versus New York. Buffalo won November 12th, meeting 22-17. Jets are favored by 2.5 and on the road, and over under 42. I think this is one of those moments that Rex Ryan's been waiting for. He beats the Jets. They still need Pittsburgh to win, but if he beats the Jets, he can knock them out of the playoffs. What better for a head coach leaving a team? The team he left goes 10-5, 10-6 if they lose, make the playoffs. Buffalo can go 8-8 and knock the Jets out of the playoffs. I'm taking Buffalo to win. They're in Buffalo. There's a lot on the line for Rex Ryan. I'm giving Buffalo the 2.5, picking Buffalo to win. They'll cover that 2.5 and take it under the 42. Next, we have the NFC North matchup. We have Detroit Lions at 6-9 versus Chicago Bears at 6-9. Both teams going nowhere fast this year. Cutler's had some good games this year. He's kind of, turned a corner in some games he hasn't. Detroit's just having an off year. Hopefully they'll rebound next year. Detroit has won 5 straight versus Chicago. They won October 18th meeting 37-34 in overtime. Chicago's favored by 1 at home with an over-under of 45.5. I'm taking Detroit to win. I give them the 1 point. They'll cover it. And under on the 45.5. AFC North matchup, we have Cincinnati Bengals 11-4 hosting the Baltimore Ravens at 5-10. Bengals are 4-1 in the division this year. Cincinnati has won 4 straight, 5 of the last 6 versus Baltimore. They beat Baltimore on September 27, 28-24. Cincinnati's favored by 9.5 at home. They have a chance of winning this, not only getting the first round bye, but getting home field advantage throughout and versus New England. So that would be huge for the A.J. McCarron and the Cincinnati Bengals. They're favored by 9.5 at home. I have them winning. I have them covering the 9.5. I'm taking over on the 41.5. Next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 9-6 versus the Cleveland Browns at 3-12. Cleveland, you gotta do more than 500 in your division. They're currently 2-3 versus the AFC North in order to go far. I mean, one or two more victories, they wouldn't even worry about. They'd be battling for the division title, not just to make the playoffs. If they win this, they'll be 10-6. If the Jets lose, Pittsburgh's in. So Pittsburgh needs a win, and they need the Bills to beat the Jets. Pittsburgh's favored by 10.5 on the road versus Cleveland. They won 5 out of 6 versus the Browns. They beat the Browns over 15, 30-9. I have Pittsburgh winning. I have them covering the 10.5. I'm taking under on the 47. Next, we have NFC East matchup. We have the NFC East division champions, Washington Redskins, at 8-7 versus the Dallas Cowboys at 4-11. Both teams 3-2 versus the NFC East this year. Dallas won versus the Redskins in 1916 on December 7th. Dallas has won 4 out of the last 5. Dallas is favored by 4 at home. Dallas ain't that good. I think if the Redskins are going to show anybody anything, they need to win this game in Dallas. They're going to be 9-7, 8-8. They're going to win the division, host a playoff game. Looks like they're going to be playing the loser of Minnesota Green Bay. Will end up going to Washington. I don't think either one of those teams would have a problem beating Washington at Washington if Washington is the typical what Washington's been this year. I'm taking Washington to win. I'll give them the 4 points. I'm taking under on the 39, and they'll cover the 4 points. AFC South matchup, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 5-10 versus the Houston Texans at 8-7. If Houston wins, they win the division. If Houston loses and Indianapolis wins, I believe Indianapolis wins the division. So when you're in for Houston, Indy needs help. The Texans are 4-1 versus their division this year. Houston beat Jacksonville 37-20 on October 18th. Houston has won 3 straight versus the Jaguars. The line is Houston 6.5. I actually have Houston winning, covering the 6.5. I'm taking under on the 45.5. And then the other AFC South matchup is we have Tennessee at 3-12 versus Indianapolis at 7-8. The Colts 3-2 versus the division this year. The Colts beat the Titans 35-33 on September 27th. Indy's won 8 straight, 13 of the last 14 versus Tennessee. Indy's favored by 5 and over under 42.5. I have them winning at home, covering the 5 and under on the 42.5. If the Titans win, doesn't matter. If the Titans lose, Colts go into the division. Next, we have Nfc East matchup. We have New England Patriots at 12-3 versus Miami at 5-10. New England is 4-1 versus the division this year. Miami's 0-5. New England beat on October 29th, beat the Dolphins 36-7. They won 8 of the last 10 versus the Dolphins. New England is favored by 9.5 and an over/under 47. New England's playing for home field advantage throughout the playoffs. If they win this, regardless what Cincinnati does or Denver does, everything goes through New England. So we could have a possibility of win here. Everything goes through New England, a back-to-back Super Bowls for New England. So I got New England winning. They'll cover the 10 to 9.5 and taking over on the 47. Next, we have an NFC East matchup. That means absolutely nothing. We have the head coachless Philadelphia Eagles after them firing Chip Kelly this week, 6-9 versus the New York Football Giants at 6-9. Philly won 27-7 on October 19th. They won 3 straight, 4 out of the last 5 versus the Giants. Both teams are 2-3 versus the division. Giants are favored by 3.5 at home. I had them winning, covering, and over on the 51. We'll see what the Eagles do without Chip Kelly. We'll see if Chip Kelly gets another job in the NFL. Next, we have the NFC West matchup. We have the 9-6 Seattle Seahawks versus the 13-2 Arizona Cardinals. A win here by Arizona and a loss by Carolina. And I'm not sure if Arizona can get the number 1 ranking or not with that. but they won the NFC West. This could be a preview of round 2 of the playoffs. If whoever loses between Green Bay and Minnesota, they would play. I wrote this down. So Seattle would play the winner of Green Bay, Minnesota in the first round. If they win that, and Arizona is the number 1 team, these two teams can meet in the round 2. A lot has to happen for that scenario, but yeah, we could have a rematch in the playoffs between these two. Arizona is favored by 6.5 at home. On November 15th, Arizona won 39-32. Arizona's won 4 out of 10 in the last 10. They're 4-6 in the last 10 versus Seattle, and they've lost to the last 2 in Arizona versus Seattle. I still am picking Arizona to win. I think they're playing great this year. 13-2. They're going to go 14-2. Second best team in the NFC. I had them covering the 6.5 and over on the 47. We have a NFC South matchup. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 6-9 versus the Carolina Panthers at 14-1. Obviously, Carolina still wants to get number 1 seed. 15-1 would be a bad record. 6-9, 6-10, 7-9. It's still a successful rookie season for Jameis Winston. 3-2 in their division. They lost to Carolina 37-23 back on October 4th. Carolina's won 2 out of the last 3 versus Tampa Bay. Carolina's favored by 10.5. So I think Tampa Bay covers the 10.5. Carolina wins with an over on the 46. Next, we have an AFC West matchup. We have the San Diego Chargers 4-11. Is this their last game as the San Diego Chargers? Just like, is it the last game for the Oakland Raiders? Is it the last game for the St. Louis Rams? Who ends up in LA? Does anyone end up in LA? Who's in St. Louis and who's on? Do 2 teams go to LA and 1 team come to St. Louis, and Oakland and San Diego are so sorry, so bad? We'll see. Denver 11-4. Chargers are 0-5 in the division this year. Broncos are 3-2. Denver won on December 6th, 17-3. Denver's won 8 of the last 9 versus the Chargers, which is kind of funny. I looked this up, and out of the last 11 games, San Diego won 4 straight. Denver won 4 straight. San Diego won 1 game, and then Denver won 4 straight. So it's like they just kind of rotate 4-game winning streaks. So Denver's won the last 4 straight. So does that mean San Diego wins this one? That's the odd one, like they did 5 games ago? I don't think so. I think Brock Osweiler's playing good enough. They're at home. They want to win the AFC West. They got to win this. If they lose this game and the Chiefs win versus the Raiders, I think the Chiefs win the division. So I got Denver winning this. I have them covering the 9.5. Taking over on the 41.5. Next, another AFC West matchup. We have the Oakland Raiders at 7-8. Speaking of the Raiders, is this their last game as Oakland? In Oakland. Versus Kansas City Chiefs, 10-5. Winners of 9 straight. They went 1-5 to start the season. Who would have thought when they were 1-5 that they would have a chance to win, not only make the playoffs, but win the division? And even possible, an outside chance of first round bye. How amazing is that? KC won versus the Raiders December 6th, 34-20. They won 4 out of the last 5, 8-2 straight versus the Raiders. Kansas City's favored by a touchdown. And over under 43.5. I got the Chiefs winning. I got them covering that touchdown and over under 43.5. And we have NFC West matchup. We have the St. Louis Rams at 7-8 versus the San Francisco 49ers at 4-11. Is this Colin Kaepernick's last game as a 49er? Is the St. Louis Rams the last game as the St. Louis Rams? The end of Jeff Fisher's 4th year as the Rams head coach, can he get over the 7-win mark? His first 4 years, they were 7-8-1, 7-9, 6-10, and now they're 7-8 or 7-9 or possibly 8-8. Can the Jeff Fisher ran Rams team win 8 games? Who knows? They're 4-1 in the division this year. They beat the 49ers on November 1st, 27-6. They won 2 straight against the 49ers. St. Louis is favored by 3 on the road and over under 37.5. This game is going to be just nothing, I think. I think it's going to be a shit game myself. I do have the Rams winning. They'll cover the 3 points. I don't know why. I'm saying over on the 37.5. So, I mean, 21-17 game makes it over. So, alright. Last but not least, we have the NFC North on the line. The division title on the line. We have the Minnesota Vikings at 10-5 at Lambeau Field, and the Green Bay Packers at 10-5. Vikings are 4-1 versus the NFC North this year. Green Bay won the last meeting 30-13. They won 3 straight. Green Bay is 5-1 in the last 6 games versus Minnesota. In the 2010s, since 2010, Green Bay is 10-1-1 versus the Vikings. Since 2000, they're 29-10-1. I think the Packers own the Vikings. Just saying. Green Bay is favored by 3 at home. I said they win it. They cover the 3 points. They won their NFC North Championship. They go on to host a playoff game, and they will cover the 45.5 points. Or they'll cover the 3. They'll be over on the 45.5. So that will wrap up Week 17 of the NFL season. Stay tuned. Hopefully early next week. I know this video is real late getting up. I will have the first round of playoff preview hopefully at Monday, Tuesday. After this game, we'll know the seedings and everything. So, as always, thanks for watching Robert Sports Show, and have a spiffy night. Robert Sports Show, your YouTube leader in sports channels.